Right, ladies and gentlemen, we continue on to our next customer review of the Spapperi Inter Plant Weeder, distributed and imported throughout the UK by JF Hudson Limited. And you now find us, we are just outside of Tadcaster at the Organic Pantry, and I'm now joined by Mr. Jonnie Watson, who's basically going to run us through this machine and just tell us how he's got on with it. So, I mean, first up, Jonnie, before we dive into the machine, just tell us a little bit about your business, because it seems quite a diverse sort of business.
Yeah, well, we have a farming program which grows about 40 to 45 acres of surface veg, and we grow potatoes, and then the rest of the farm is either fertility building or it's getting over that process. But the main part of our practice is farming veg, and then we have a business that further sells that on and value adds to the produce.
Okay, and what sort of veg are you growing here?
Mainly we try and grow veg that benefits from being picked and sold quickly. So we grow surface veg, apart from the potatoes. We're growing mainly brassicas, we grow lettuce, onions, we grow swede, and then in the brassicas we grow different types of kale, broccoli, purple sprouting broccoli, cauliflowers, several different cabbages. And the idea is that we have something to pick every day of the year. That's the program. Yeah.
And you mentioned, do you sort of process this, package it, and distribute it all yourselves as well?
Yes, we do. Yeah. We have a business. We run 6 vans doing home deliveries, and then we process some of the products for schools, feeding the primary schools in Nottinghamshire and Leicestershire. And so it's a fairly diverse marketing practice.
Right, yeah. And as well as the schools, are you into shops and things like that?
I would think we're probably selling our marketing ranges from Glasgow to Kent.
Right.
So with quite a proportion going into London.
And you say obviously you're organic here, so when did that start? When did you go organic? Or
we converted the farm in 2000. Between sort of 2000 and 2004, a gradual process, and by 2004 the whole farm was converted organic, and that's what we've sort of stuck with over the years.
Right, and what was the main driver for going organic?
We wanted to buy a pack of seed and sell the end product to the person that was going to eat it. And that's what we try to achieve. We don't get all of the product to the end user, but we get a good percentage of it to them. Yeah.
So on to the weeder then, which is, it's nicely in its working clothes. It sounds like it's done quite a bit of work over the last season or two. So I mean, where did you first see this or hear about this machine?
Well, we've been having problems trying to recruit hoeing teams, which 10 years ago you could get a group of people to come and hoe, and they become more and more difficult to come across. I stumbled across James's brochure, and so gave him a shout. We went up 3 days later and bought one there and then.
Right.
And as such, we haven't lifted a hoe this year.
Wow.
At all. And of course we've got no protection through chemicals, and it's just done a wonderful job.
Ideal.
Yeah, it's done a wonderful job. The weeding part of the farming process is a difficult process to do, because the crop needs weeding when we're extremely busy planting, and if you're not careful, the weeding bit gets missed. And then you get a completely compromised crop. Yeah. So to be able to plant and then actually have a weeding process that someone quite gladly sits on the back of and goes off weeding, rather than hoeing, which is a completely different outlook for someone for a full day, is quite refreshing.
And how long have you been running this machine?
We got it in the spring of last year. It's done 1 season. And it would work sort of 3 days a week. probably for 6 weeks as we get all the crops through their first weeding. We only had to weed them once this time.
Yeah.
There might be a time. I mean, it's quite forgiving in that we can take out very small weeds, or if we've got some larger weeds that haven't been taken out first time, it's still strong enough to deal with those. Yeah,
it's got the aggressiveness.
Yes, it has.
To actually cope and deal with that.
Yeah, without a doubt it has. And so then what that enables us to do is to actually grow crop. Well, this next year we're going to grow far more crops under fleeces, which will give the crop a lot better protection, because we don't have to be quite so precise on the timing of our weeding.
Okay.
Which historically, if we were going to weed a crop, we would probably harrow it, and you can only harrow it sort of probably latest at cotyledon, but really you're harrowing it before you can see the weed. And taking fleeces off, harrowing and putting fleeces back on doesn't always get done.
So this is giving you a bigger working window to get the weeding done.
Absolutely, yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. And then the labour it's saved this summer is vast.
And in terms of the crops and the veg that you use it on, do you use it on all of your crops, or is it certain ones that you use this for?
No, we would put it through anything. We do salad onions with it. We do lettuce with it, with different levels of aggression. With brassicas, you can be quite aggressive, and of course we've got to slow it right down for lettuce and things like that, because we don't want soil pushed up onto the leaf. Yeah. So, but it'll generally go through most crops. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you go from crop to crop, does it take much setting up or adaptation or anything?
No, it doesn't take any. No. All you would probably do is alter the speed of the tines and slow it down a bit for a more gentle crop.
And before this machine came along, was it just all hand hoeing, or did you have other implements that could help? I mean, you mentioned the harrows as well.
Yeah. Well, we would aim to harrow everything, and harrowing's fine as long as the weather stays with you. There's no point in harrowing if it's wet. If you miss that harrowing window, we then went down to side hoes, which took out the weeds between the rows, but not between the plants. The beauty of this is that it gets right into the row, and you can clean the whole row out. And
I see you've gone for single row machine with the side shift. What sort of made you go down this route, this spec?
Well, we work on a 72-inch bed, so we didn't have room for 3 stations. So we just go across a row at a time. Which is fine. We're probably doing sort of 2 to 3 acres a day. If we're at a full day, it comes down to the length. It comes down to the person on the back. But it's a good tool. We tend to what I tend to do is give someone 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll swap them over. Yeah. And then give someone else 2 to 3 hours. And it's a thing that very easily they get the hang of it.
Right, and how long would it have taken, with the hand hoeing?
Oh my goodness, I suspect 6 people would struggle to hoe an acre a day. Yeah, I don't think you would hoe an acre a day with 6 people. It's that long ago since we actually got 6 people who would do it.
6 willing volunteers.
The enthusiasm for hoeing teams drops off after about 2 hours.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then presumably, that must really affect the bottom line, in terms of cost per acre to actually weed these plants.
And the success of the crop. We would probably allow a percentage which had to be stepped over historically, whereas now we've got every part of the fields producing. So it's a huge cost saving, but it's also a huge enhancement to yield as well. No, we're very, very pleased with it.
And what sort of, just explain the ground conditions, the soil conditions that you guys are working in as well, and how does it cope with that?
Yeah, well, we are not on prime vegetable land. We're on a sort of limestone brash. So we've got an issue with stones, and it copes with them. I think as a machine it would prefer not to have them, but that's where we are. And it bounces around a bit if we hit stones, but it copes admirably.
And with it being a single row machine, obviously it sounds like you're doing quite a bit of work with it through the the 40 acres worth of veg. Is this a good match in terms of in terms of its capacity to get the job done?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think you'd do a site more veg as well. You'd do a site more acreage. If you had more to do, you'd just have someone on the time. We tend to sort of do it sort of Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays for an afternoon, which has suited us fine. But if you set about it, you'd do a big acreage with them.
Right, so there's still quite a bit more capacity left in this machine.
Yeah, without
and that's
a doubt.
before you even go to a 2-row, 3-row, 4-row machine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you would do. As I say, the limiting factor that we've got is that we work on three rows on a 70-inch bed, 72-inch bed, and you can't get the stations in.
And with your conditions being quite stony, what's the wear rate been like particularly on those rotating blades?
Well, they're not a huge cost anyway, but we got through a set of tines this summer, and I dare say we'll probably put a fresh set on, ready for next year. But it's 6 tines. Yeah. It's not a massive
not too bad, is it?
No. Yeah.
And are you tempted to go get a little bit more Spapperi red equipment, maybe with the planters?
If I needed anything, if I needed a more machine, I'd certainly look at this manufacturer, because if there's other stuff like this one, we would definitely do it. But no, it's well made, it's good and solid, and it's well thought out.
Well, just to finish off, I mean, just sum up your time with the Spapperi Weeder.
Yeah, well, we are extremely pleased with it. It's definitely made decisions going forward a lot easier, knowing that we've got this to look after what is the all-important part of an organic crop, which is the weed control.
Good stuff. Well, Jonnie, thank you very much for your time. It's been absolutely spot on hearing about how you've got on with this Inter Plant Weeder. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that as well. I've certainly learned quite a few bits after speaking to Jonnie and the other 2 customer reviews that we've done with the Spapperi Weeder. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you again next time.